afternoon. I challenge many of you to imagine a society where you don't have a car and you also don't even need a car. For many of us, that's a pretty foreign idea. However, when I traveled through Barcelona, Spain, I witnessed this reality in real time. Many of the residents of Barcelona relied on public transportation and straight up walking to navigate their day-to-day lives. After seeing this for myself and learning more about car dependency, I want to bring your attention to the issues we have with our American infrastructure and car dependency, how we can improve things with a walkable city, and why we should advocate for this in the first place. So first, let's start with the issues of our infrastructure and why it is car dependent. Our infrastructure is designed around cars. It's not a bad thing to be designed for cars, but it is a bad thing when it excludes other modes of transportation. The Bureau of Transportation Statistics reports that 1 in 3 Americans state their neighborhood does not have accessible sidewalks. It's very difficult to navigate your life by walking if it's unsafe or impossible to do that. Another thing that's an issue with our society is that our society is decided around cars, but the CDC reports that if you're under 30, your leading cause of death is likely to be a car crash. I think that's pretty interesting that we have designed our lives around something so dangerous. Another problem with our infrastructure is that we have very little public transportation. It's kind of an endless cycle of people deciding it's too dangerous and not wanting to support it, and then when it's underfunded, well, it is dangerous and it's not something people want to use to get around. And then another last issue of our infrastructure is that we have very little mixed-use zoning. Imagine a regular neighborhood, like a suburb, the suburban sprawl. There's very little stores, restaurants, recreational things to do in this neighborhood, and you might have to travel miles if you want to pick up your groceries on foot. People aren't very likely to do that, and you kind of need a car if you're going to go grocery shopping and you need to walk 15 miles to do it. This is the reasons why America is so car dependent and what some of this car dependency causes as an issue. So secondly, why does a walkable city improve these issues? Well, the first thing it improves is traffic flow. If people are walking, they are not on the roads. And the Bureau of Transportation Statistics also reports that when people are provided sidewalks, they are more likely to walk. That makes sense to me personally. Another improvement that walkable cities make is that people will desire public transportation if they start using it. The Victoria Transport Policy Institute reports that public transportation is actually significantly less dangerous than the average person thinks it is. Like I said, the CDC says that a car crash is your most likely cause of death if you're under 30, but taking public transportation instead can significantly decrease this risk because public transportation is so safe on the road. There's also been an incredible decrease in crime on public transportation. The amount of theft or assault that is happening on public transportation is significantly less than what people think it is or have decided it was after hearing about it a couple years ago. There's been much to be done to increase safety. So lastly, what are some of the reasons we should be advocating for a walkable city? Well, first, what does it mean that the traffic flow is reduced? This means that emergency services have a much easier time navigating to a scene of a crime. If there's heavy flows of traffic, it is very difficult for an ambulance, police officer, or firefighter to navigate through the crowds and get to where they need to go. This also means that for people who have to use a car, like if you're a construction worker and you're doing roofing, you're probably going to need a truck to bring all these supplies and materials with you. This means that people who need their cars have a much easier time navigating to where they need to be. I'm sure all of us have been stuck in traffic, maybe even for 30 minutes or more, and we're frustrated with it. Walking increases the traffic flow, and for many people, that is a great benefit. Another benefit and reason we should advocate for walkable cities is the social economic impact. Cars, I'm sure we all know, are expensive, and many of us are in debt to ensure our ability to have a private vehicle. But for many other people, It is impossible and unaffordable to own a car. So what do they do if we can't walk, bike, or take public transportation? These people are a little stranded if they can't afford a car. This also means that for families, large families, they don't have to have the burden of making purchases of multiple vehicles. Maybe just 1 or 2 vehicles will suffice for a large family because not everyone will need it at the same time. This is a reduction of financial strain by a significant amount. Another big positive impact of walkable cities, and another reason we should advocate for it, is the environmental impact. As we all know, cars are a major source of pollution, but when we take less cars off the road, then we have less pollution in the air. 50 cars on the road might translate to, 60 people on a bus, and that's a lot less cars on the road if we use public transportation. If we also have less cars on the road, we have less need for big, expansive roads, and this means wildlife has more room to flourish without human interaction. This is a good benefit for the wildlife and does much to decrease the extinction that we're currently seeing globally. So, in conclusion, these are the issues with our car dependency. This is how walkable cities can improve it, and here are some reasons we should advocate for walkable cities. I encourage all of you to be open-minded to this concept of moving away from cars and maybe even embrace it and encourage it. Thank you very much.